I'll call to order the zoning commission regular meeting Monday, April 7th at, on my watch, 7 o'clock. Only regular members in attendance, so no alternates necessary. Reviewing the minutes of March 17th. You had a couple of people had comments. Did you get those clarified?
There was just a confusion on one of the paragraphs, that it was the motion paragraph instead of the hearing paragraph. So I think if we put in the hearing paragraph, we're fine.
Okay.
It's on
So that got straightened
line
out?
2. Yeah,
All right.
or line 50.
Okay. Any other comments? I thought they.
On line 129 was, I think I made the motion and I'm not sure who seconded it, I think.
So just to be sure you give her, did you get that? What?
So line 29, Commissioner Post instead of Commissioner Gray. And I'm not sure who seconded it. Oh, was Murphy seconded? Or was it you?
Recky's on it, so we can go with that.
Go with Marecki. He's not here to defend
I was
himself.
credited with more motions than I made.
Oh, for second, Marecki.
Yes,
It's there.
Marecki
It's the way
seconded.
it's
That's
written.
the way it reads, yeah.
All right, so with those modifications, then we'll accept the minutes for the March 17th meeting. We have a consent item tonight, application number 14-16 of Tracy Becker, National Sign Corp. Applicant, Bank of America, formerly known as Fleet Bank, formerly known as owner for a sign permit for Bank of America on the property located at 740 Hot Meadow Street, Zone SC1. So as I understand it, this sign is exactly the same size, represents the new logo change. Yeah. So I see no issue with this. Any other questions? All right, so that will be approved on the consent agenda. Item 5, public hearings. Application number 14-07 of John D. Ritson, applicant. RC Connectors LLC owner for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section C.3J of the Simsbury zoning regulations for an additional sign as well as a sign permit for Kings Ridge on the property located at 144 Hot Meadow Street, map F17, block 154, lot 008, zone B1. We'll also have a public hearing on application number 14-13 of James Eder, applicant, Robert Patricelli, Folly Farms owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section 8 of the Simsbury zoning regulations for a temporary liquor permit for an event on the property located at 75 Hartford Road, Zone R80. So let's, Mr. Ritson, if you could please come to the microphone because we are being recorded.
Sure. Can I have some samples here? Can I just leave them here so you guys can see them?
That's fine.
I know design review went to look at this for them. I wasn't sure if I needed to bring folks. Good evening. For a second there, I thought I was late when I came in and you guys were in session. I was like,
Would you missed it?
It's John Ritson, R-I-T-S-O-N, for RC Connectors. Thank you. What we've done here, I didn't realize we needed a special exception in a public hearing because the site plan already has a sign pad that was approved when we did Kings Ridge. Hiram brought it to my attention. That's why we're having a public hearing. That's why we're here today. Normally, instead of just with a design review recommendation. In any event, what I'm trying to do is give the big building in the back, which we've just completed, it's a beautiful building, its own identity. And it really needs its own identity. A lot of people think Kings Ridge is apartments above my law office. Honestly, I've got people coming in and they call up and they say, where are the apartments? And I've got tenants that are living there right now. Fortunately, we've got about 10 people that are renting right now. It's hopefully a lot of interest right now. And it's going to help me with marketing, but I just think it ought to have its own identity. And design reviews seem to agree. The reason we're trying to make it its own identity is we're going to match the bottom of the sign with the cultured stone, which is going to match the exact building. So people will see the sign, see the 144, look in the back and realize that must go with the building. So I think it's going to help. It's a very attractive sign. Design review had no changes whatsoever. They liked it. What we are going to try to do is use this flat black forged aluminum with raised letters that you've seen the font that matches the big banners that I have in front. And what we're going to do is they're going to be, it's all forged aluminum. They're very expensive. It's going to look very classy. And with Hiram's comment, I will make sure it's 2 feet off the ground. The design review had no problems. They thought it should have its own sign. Hopefully you guys agree. And I would ask you to approve it. A special exception.
Couple of questions, John. Where is it going to go in relation to the originally approved pad? Is it going where we originally approved it?
Yes.
Okay,
There's a
and where is that relative to the temporary sign that's there now?
Very close to it. What it is if you look at this schedule, and I've got the survey here, if I can just kind of point to this, Dunkin' Donuts is over here. The concrete pad is right there. This maple tree does not exist. It was, I don't know why it's on here. The first maple tree is here. This concrete pad is actually in the ground, because that was approved. And so I went ahead and poured it. Hiram said that was okay. He said, just don't do anything else till you come in here and get approval on the sign. So the pad is there. My banners are in front here. This pad lines up directly, same distance with the Dunkin' Donuts sign. So it's not any closer, it's not any further, it lines up perfectly. It's gonna be slightly taller than the Dunkin' Donuts by a few inches, but it's gonna be, all of the cultured stone, and then with this big forged thing right in it, so it should, with that font. And what we're gonna do is the letters are gonna be a goldish yellow, so it should really stand out. It's gonna help identity and location.
Any other questions?
And there's no lighting with this?
No lighting. It's almost, I can't do lighting because I can't get power under the, and quite frankly, I personally don't like lighting. The Dunkin' Donuts is lit up very bright, and there's a street light that's right there, and I just don't like lighting. I told Design Review the same thing, that we think about when you come up Simsbury Mountain, there's that long estate that's got those two lights that just blind you, that are lighting up that little tiny sign that they have. And, what they wanted to make sure that I did was not have high gloss black, and it's definitely flat, so.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the commissioners? Is there anyone here in the audience that has come to speak to Mr. Ritson's sign? All right. I'd look for a motion to close the public hearing on this topic.
So moved.
Second? I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the public hearing is closed. We'll rule on this shortly. All right. And now we'll hear the second application of James Eder, applicant, Robert Petroselli, Folly Farms, owner, for special exception temporary liquor permit.
Folly Farm and Mr. Petroselli have been kind enough to allow us to have a fundraiser every year for the past 5 years. This will be our 5th year. And we raise money and awareness of pancreatic cancer. We've raised over about $250,000 for pancreatic cancer research and direct patient aid.
And we've done this all 4 previous years, and it's a great event, and there's never been any problem.
Amazing day, Kentucky Derby Day.
Yeah. So any questions for Mrs. Foley?
I take it there's not a rain date for this.
Pardon me?
There's no rain date.
Oh, it's not going to rain.
Yeah.
It never rains.
It's not.
I just want to give you some flexibility
Cancel.
in case there was.
Anyone here to speak specifically to this application in the public? All right, hearing none, looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that also. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All
Hope to
right.
see you on the 3rd.
All right, thank you. So now we'll go to item 6, which is discussion of possible action on any agenda items. I think we'll rearrange these to take the 2 public hearing items first. So we'll look at Mr. Ritson's sign application. Last chance for questions.
Actually, I do have, what is, it's stand on? I mean, we have the sign, but we don't have anything.
That's a good question.
I don't see anything on here that says what the base is.
Got this application. I should have asked you this. Just to point out, this is 12 inches high and 60 feet wide, 60 inches wide. And what this is a poured slab. And that's already there existing. What they're gonna do is they're gonna take an exact cinder block and lay them down and go up 4. We have to add a little bit. They're gonna cover all of this with this is concrete. So they're gonna put the mortar and they're gonna put that cultured stone with the matching grout and everything that matches the building. And they're gonna do the exact same thing for the whole facade. They're gonna put a little cap of probably slate on this part here and this part here, and then the forged aluminum is gonna just attach right to it. So it's gonna have, the whole thing's gonna be solid concrete with the cultured stone around it.
Sign on each side?
A sign on each side.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're $1,500 each for the forged. They're very expensive, but you know, we wanted to make it look classy and it will look classy. But yeah, it's gonna be concrete block, and I'm pretty sure that's how the mason's gonna do it. And then it gets covered with the cultured stone.
Okay, is that fine enough on this application? Because the cap isn't even mentioned.
We talked about that before, and that's why I asked John to bring the materials in, so we're clear about that. Now we know what that's gonna be, it's been represented, so we're clear.
Okay, as long as staff knows what they're expected to.
And we
approve.
have design reviews recommendation.
That's right.
Yeah, but I didn't see anywhere it mentioned the cap or, okay.
Any other questions relative to this? Be looking for a motion then.
Make a motion, we accept the application of John D. Ritson for the sign.
Second.
So Post moved, Gray seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Thank you very much.
Approved. Thank you, John. Second, we'll look at the application of James Eater applicant, Robert Patricelli, Folly Farms owner, for the special permit for a temporary liquor permit. Any other questions or comments?
Move that approval.
Is there a date on that?
May
Yeah, May 3rd.
3rd.
And the rain
Thank
date's
you,
May,
Derby.
rain date's May
In the
3rd
rain
too.
So,
I second
so we have Gray and Peterson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, so you're approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And we will then move to application number 14-11 of Robert Bolduc. Hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yes.
Advisor, Pride applicant, Pride Limited Partnership owner for a site plan amendment for a gas station on the property located at 518 Hot Meadow Street, Zone B2, as well as application 1412, same applicant for a site plan amendment for a gas station property located at 1340 Hot Meadow Street, Zone B2. So, if you would.
Actually, can I just ask a question? Are you ready to stay for this, or should we do his letter? Because that's almost done.
Good mode. Thank you.
Okay.
Fine with me.
I just thought that Andy so
Yeah, he
enjoyed
likes to
these
hang out here,
things.
but, you know.
I told him you didn't have to come, so I think you should make him sit here for the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, so we will amend our agenda slightly. You're right. Thank you. Always appreciate that. So the letter was distributed. There was some discussion about the word substantial, and I think that I'm okay with the way the language is written. Everybody up to speed here. I think it puts a burden on the applicant to come if they think it's material, or if they would fear the risk that we would somehow, after the fact, find that you made a change that was substantial when you had felt it was not. We much prefer giving permission than granting forgiveness. So, and certainly with this applicant, that has been our experience. So, I'm fine with the way that was. I thought Dave was appropriately raised the question. So I was good with this. Any other questions or comments about it?
Did you make a motion to move, did you make a motion
Oh, we didn't need to. I'm just rearranging under the higher Roman numerals. I think I have that flexibility. What's the rules of order? All right, so we are considering this, and I guess before we make a motion, I would just ask the applicant if the specificity in the letter is helpful to you. Have you seen the letter? Okay.
Got a chance to review it, it looks
Okay.
fine.
Okay. All right, so now I would be looking for
I'll move approval of the letter, the final letter.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So it properly, just let the record show that we accepted the form of our approval letter from the previous meeting, and so that we can communicate that to the applicant. All right?
We're done.
You are now free to go.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Back to Mr. Bolduc. You're up. Thank you. We will try, if we can, to take these. I sat in on your presentation. Excellent, detailed, in-depth for the design review board. So, and we go through both of these together. Let's do that. All right?
Fine.
Great.
And I can go, good evening, gentlemen. I'm Bob Bolduc. I'm actually the founder of Pride. We're a chain of about 30 stores and other investments and operations in Western Mass. And been moving down into Connecticut slowly and found these two properties, and so we're just developing them both at the same time. I can go as quickly or as slowly as you like, so just feel free to. I'll go quickly, and then you interrupt me with questions. How's that? Okay,
Bias
fine.
towards quickly.
Fine. My glasses. The first one up is actually the one in the south, so I'm just thinking maybe we'll go down to the one that you had, where the aquifer was, and then we'll come backwards. It'll take a second. And I'll start, since we talked about the aquifer, to tell you about this happened. Thank you. This happens to be, this is the membrane that we're going to use for the third level of safety. Okay, you can see it's made for this kind of product, and well, that's pretty much it. But that's the manufacturer that we'll be using. It actually is just what Howard said. It's basically a liner, like a bathtub liner or a swimming pool liner, but it's made for petroleum products. That goes, after you dig the hole, you put this down, then you put all your work on that, and then you have sensors down in the bottom to tell you if there's any product, either water or liquid, that comes up. So it's a third level of protection. We're happy to do it and feel good about it ourselves. This is the processor. Everything, the way you want to picture a underground tank piping system is pretty much like as if when we've seen someone lying in intensive care and they're all wired and there's a whole bunch of monitors over their head telling you all the different vitals on the person. It's pretty much the same thing now, where we actually monitor not only the level of fluid in the tank and match that against sales constantly. It's a constant thing. So if, for example, if your cash register says you sold 10 gallons, but there's 11 gallons gone from the tank, you know you have a problem and a bell goes off. There are monitors around the tanks. There are monitors around. The tank itself is a double-walled tank with a monitor around it in the interstitial lining. So the tank itself, the inner layer is quarter-inch plate steel. The outer layer, after a little space to stand off, is fiberglass. The fiberglass keeps any rust away from the tank. The strength of the steel holds the product. And if there ever should be a leak, either from the outside, which would be water getting in, the sensor would tell you. If there's a product leak with product getting out from the steel, the product would tell you. And all this goes through this processor, which then goes to our dispatcher, to me via email, and to other people in the company who then know there's a problem. The piping is double wall piping. This is what it looks like. So every connection is a double wall connection. And this all has sensors on it also and drains back to a sump. So should there be a leak in the inner, works the same way. If there's a leak in the inner pipe or the outer pipe, the product goes back to a sump. Another sensor goes off. There are other sensors under fiberglass sumps which are underneath every gas pump, as you know it. So if there's a leak in the pump itself, it goes off. There are monitoring wells around the four corners of the tank, which are also checked for any product. There are other sensors in the fills, what we call the areas, you see on a tank, you see the opening on the top, and that doesn't just go, it's not open to the ground anymore like it used to be. Now it's all contained and sealed, and there's another sensor in there. So the brain, which is this baby, tells us all that stuff and monitors it all the time. It also, our dispatcher uses it to know when to deliver product. As long as she can get on the internet anywhere in the world, she can tell you what amount of fuel is in that tank and the temperature, and if there's water in it, to the 100th of a gallon, to the 500th of a gallon. Okay? This is the tank itself. You can see the two liners, etc. I won't bore you with that, but it's a particular manufacturer we've been using for many years, and we've been very happy with them.
What's the lifetime of these?
These are now unlimited lifetime, because as long as as long as you don't have a leak or some sort of a problem, the fiberglass is going to keep that forever.
Okay.
There is to date, there have been no, to my knowledge, no one's ever had to replace one, and the manufacturer doesn't give any time. In the old days, they used to say 20 to 25 years, and you had to replace a steel tank. That's because corrosion got into it. But corrosion doesn't get to these anymore. Okay? So that's a little bit of the system itself, and it's called an underground system is what we call it now.
What about the sensors and all that? They don't need to be replaced at some point?
Those get checked. Those have, if those fail, an alarm goes off. I should also say that brain has a printer attached to it, and it has a memory. So first it leaves a trail at all times. There's a history log which never gets erased and can't be erased. DEP comes along and looks at that log occasionally. And if a sensor ever fails, another alarm goes off. So everything, it's always sending out a signal to all its sensors to be sure they're all operational. It's all on a circuit. Okay? And alarm goes off if it goes bad. Okay? It's that simple.
If a sensor goes bad, can you replace it without replacing it, even within the walls of the tank?
Yeah, they're all we have access points to all of them. Some are a little hard to reach, but you get at them. You have to, because otherwise that beeping just drives you crazy.
What about condensate in between the outer layer and the inner layer?
I had that happen once. That was many years ago, and that's because we had a crack in the outer wall.
Yeah.
We had to replace the tank. So yeah. Okay. So now get in details. Here's the north one. So this is where the aquifer is, where the system would be. There's a picture of it now, and another picture of it now from across the street. Okay. Surveyor's plan, should you want to see it, we can blow it up. Here's what it would look like. The one on the right is the front view that you will see from the street. It's a 42 by 46 foot building, which is not too big. It will be colonial style. It will be natural red brick, lots of glass around the front, charcoal roof, nice gable on it, and truly, I think, a nice looking colonial building. As you can see from the other side, the other views of it also. On the upper left, there's a cutout in it. That's for the refrigeration and HVAC systems, but that'll be in the back, so you won't see it. And then the two sides are white clapboard.
Excuse me. This is, when you said it's facing the street, the brick, I thought that wasn't happening at 1340.
You're correct. In the north, it faces to the south, because the canopy is to the south. Thank you.
So we would
one
see
in
the
the
lower
south,
left.
it faces the street. So what you'll see on the north from the street will be the lower left.
Does that mean the air conditioning units are going to be facing the adjacent property owners then?
Yes.
Are they going to be caged in?
No, but there will be a black painted picket fence around that around the cutout in the roof. It's about this high, so you won't see the ACs.
The design review board was good with that?
We did have that question actually across the street on the Garza Crossing. And I remember, we talked to them about putting a fence around it so that it was screened. And that's my understanding, is what the applicants were.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a fence around it. So the fence, and it'll be a picket fence. It'll be painted the same color as the shingle, and then that area just kind of goes away.
Will
you
the
won't-
same happen at the southern one too, even
Yes.
though it faces the
The
gym?
southern one, it will face out to the gym in the back, and this one faces the business property to the left. And it's not a very big cutout, and it's recessed quite a bit. We have one that faces a shopping center in Palmer, Mass, and you don't even notice it. We can screen it more if you'd like. You know, we can make it a solid wall around it.
That would be my only question, because who knows what's gonna happen to that business next to it
Yeah.
5 or 10 years from now, you
The-
know?
The only hesitation about a solid wall is you want a lot of airflow in there, and that's all. But we could close up the pickets.
Either that or angle them such that the openings are still there, but it appears stopped
Yeah.
from the street.
Yeah,
We can do that.
it's a matter of the view, because we don't
if-
know who's gonna be next door, and
If we didn't have this on one already and have no problems with it, I might be concerned, but
yeah, I don't
we're
have a
pretty
problem with
happy
what's up there. I'm just, thinking down
No,
the
it's a
road.
good what if.
Visual thing, aesthetic.
It's a good
Air
what if.
conditioning units over time can be they deteriorate the units and they just look rusty, and then if we have a
Well,
the next door and they have to look at that, and we wish we had dealt with it now. It's easier just to deal with it now.
we're pretty fanatic about that. We maintain our equipment very well. In fact, we're chided about that if it moves, it gets oiled, and if it doesn't move, we paint it.
What were we saying, an offset, so there's a
But I
forward
cannot,
back
we
so
cannot,
that there's-
Louvered almost,
Yeah.
would you use that word?
Yes.
Yeah.
can do that. That's a good point. Okay. The canopy is in the middle. It's a relatively small canopy, the same size as what's there now. And the pylon sign in the front is dead center, and that is, meet your requirement, it's 10 feet high only, and 5 feet across only, and it will have, I can show you one. Here's one, that'd probably be it. This is at our station that we bought, a closed-up station in Windsor Locks, right on Route 75, and you see the sign, and I don't know if you can see the new sidewalk we put in, the plantings, and then the brick foundation to the sign. Now, yours will be only half that big, but it will have the similar brick foundation and a much smaller sign. And it will not have the digital lit message board that you see there.
Okay, so what does it have instead?
It has our name, Pride, and then it will have the prices only. It'll say no lead and diesel.
All right, and those are the plastic?
They will be, actually, the Pride will be the internally lit, what you see there, and the prices will be LEDs. So they are,
They are lit. then.
they are lit, yes.
It'll be more like that.
That's exactly what it'll look like.
What comment on the lighting? As I understand, there are two choices. There's a possibility of a red LED or a green LED.
Correct.
And one of the things that I might suggest to the commission is that the green LED might be preferable if that's acceptable to the
Cool.
Do we have LED lighting in our house?
We do. We're starting to see, this actually has, currently has internally lit signs on the property already. We looked at an internally lit sign at
What you have now.
over on the Avon line, the restaurant in the rear. We have LED lights at Mitchell's Auto Dealer now. LED lights also at Drake Hill. in the parking lots.
So this is gonna be backlit LED, but it's not gonna be like these little dots, you know what I'm saying? So it looks like a racetrack, you know what you know where I'm going with this?
That's in fact what LED
It is the dot.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it lighting a solid, like a semi-transparent number, or is it just a bunch of
You'll only
dots?
see the outline of the number. And the fact that they're so small. The sign itself will be half the size of the existing sign.
I think if you look like at a traffic light, those are all tiny LEDs. You
Yeah.
can't even
Yeah.
tell that they're, individual light. I mean, you can when one burns out.
No, but I've seen some signs at gas stations and that where they're.
Well, there's some
kinda-
pretty big ugly ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Your code does not allow anything big and ugly. I can
Yeah,
tell you
okay.
that. We've never had to live with a sign code as small as yours.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So, here's the traffic. Let me get one that shows, this is probably better. This is the landscaping and the, shows the whole flow. So, looking at it from top down, you can see the canopy in just about the same shape and size as the existing canopy.
So we're at the southern site now.
No, we're still on the northern side.
That's still the one up
Yeah,
top.
I'll let you know when we go to the other.
Okay.
You can see the landscaping to the right, which is now Kane's Market has a picnic table there. The tanks will go in about the same place. The dumpsters will be off in the corner there with a white enclosure, which I can show you. We'll come back to that, but it's a white vinyl enclosure with gates. And you see the canopy.
Where is the membrane on this?
Totally under, well, let me see, I can show it to you here. Here are the tanks, right there. And so the membrane is all around it and underneath. I'm outlining the sense of it. That's
Okay, so
the-
it only is under the tanks, not underneath the,
No, it'll be under the
dispensers
piping
as well.
also.
Okay.
Now, the piping will run from here to this island, down here. It's what they use now is a very rigid fiberglass flexible pipe. So, I'll start over. Comes from the tanks over here, does a nice big loop, comes down like this, comes around up here and terminates right there. Okay, and it's all underground piping. But it's all flexible. It's one piece. Comes off a 1,000-foot roll and you just cut it. Okay? It has to be one piece because it's, remember, it's a pipe within a pipe. Okay? Now over here, I'm losing my cursor. I keep losing my cursor on this one. Over here is the store itself. There's the outline of the store itself. There are the two doors on the for the entryway. We have two, and I'll show you the inside later. Landscaping across the back, landscaping down the side. I'll come back to that. This is a paved. This is pavers for the 3 parking spaces there, so that we increase our infiltration. So they're dead flat, so the water soaks in. This is a leaching catch basin, so that all the clean water off the roof of the building and the roof of the canopy flows to this leaching catch basin, and then through an infiltration trench, which I can show you. The lighting. Here it is. So here's the, doggone, a little too shiny. I'm losing it. Let me try it on the wood. That's better. So here's your underground drainage. There's the leaching catch basin. There's an infiltration trench so that the water can flow. And we put it back into the ground. We meet your permeability requirements. Back to the other. Oops. Oh, that's something else. Oh, I'm at the end. I'm sorry. Back to the landscaping. There'll be some pretty nice landscaping in there. Dogwood, Japanese maple, forsythia, Hetz juniper, and Sargent juniper, the low ones. And across the front of the whole landscape there in the front by the sign will be double knockout roses. So you're going to have a pretty... You don't have a mouse pad, do you? Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. That's what I needed. I kept losing it. So it'll be very pretty, I think. We believe in landscaping, a lot of natural landscaping. Everything will be new, of course. Take questions? Otherwise, I'll keep going. Oh, this is another, oh, this is lighting. You'll want to see the lighting, okay? So the lighting there are lights underneath the canopy which meet dark sky requirements, if you're familiar with that. Okay? And I can show you a lighting plan of what's there now. That's the lumens of what's there now, and then there's another one somewhere which shows, and the planning board has seen it, what shows what we're proposed. So,
To go back to your landscaping, underneath the bushes and the trees, is it mulched? Is it grass?
no, it will be a red brownstone, 3/4 inch. Okay? So that it's a little more permanent than the, it'll look very natural. In fact, it's the color of the brownstone of your buildings here now. Okay? So that's lighting. Happy either. And then there are 2 floodlights. One there which shoots in at that angle, that's probably a straight line on it, so it won't affect anybody, any going by or any neighbors. And the other one here is one other simple floodlight that shoots in at a 45 also, shoots there. That's all we have for lighting, outside of what's underneath the canopy, those 2. They will be LEDs, and they meet dark sky requirements also. Okay. I think I may have covered everything. You don't care about this. This is utilities that all come in the side there, the red on the left. This is truck. This is flow over here with the way the tanker comes to deliver fuel, because we had to prove that it worked. That's the underground drainage we spoke about. That's curb cuts. We're actually changing the curb cuts. They are now pretty much over here. You can see that's where it is now. We're closing this up in here, moving it over, way over to here to put more central, so that when you come in one, you can get your fuel and flow through in a nice turn, as opposed to coming over here and then having to make a sharp turn. It also gives us 3 parking spaces here. Instead, we meet all your parking requirements for a building of this size.
How does the parking in the back work with that?
Just pull right along the side there, because here's the lane where the cars go.
Right, so are you not backing into that lane of cars?
No, oh, that's parallel parking along the side there, okay? And here it's perpendicular parking. Our tanker comes in, pulls up here, pulls into fuel, drops on the right side, the curb side, backs up, and pulls right around out here. Works nicely, okay? So we've changed that. We'll be putting in sidewalks, although there aren't any on either side of us, but it doesn't matter. We're happy to put them in. And curbing, and actually closing up the driveways from what's there now. Okay.
Now, are you adding a retaining wall in the back?
Yes, the retaining wall is going over here along this side so that we can gain use of this space in here, which drops off now and is totally unusable. It allows us to have a big leach field in here with the infiltration trench, and then the same thing along the back.
So there's no access from the bike trail then?
Oh, no, that's 15 feet below us, or 12 feet below us.
But there's not a stairs or anything
No.
to that? Okay.
No. We didn't see the need for it. It's not a bad idea, though, in case they want to come up and buy a soda.
I think Kane's got a little spot there where they come in. off the
Probably.
rails of trails.
It does get, it's not as deep over here where Kane's is.
Yeah, it's very shallow at his back corner.
Yes. So that would work. Okay. We've cut down some of the junk trees along in here. There are a lot of junk cherries that were ready to fall down anyway. What's left are the nice maples. And then we'll be planting, that's pretty much Hetz juniper in there and a lot of forsythia, so it's going to fill it in. We'll just let the forsythia grow, and it'll fill it in nicely and be pretty in the spring.
Is there an air pump?
Oh, yes, by law.
But where's that? That was what I was thinking with the bicycle, because actually I had
Oh, I see.
for it when I was behind that.
We'll probably put it over here in the corner over there, but that's a good point. Probably over here so it has better access for cars along in the middle in here. Probably where it is. We'll probably put in 2 so that if one is down, the other's there, so we don't get complaints.
It might be easier about where you have
Another one over here.
the blue parking spaces where
Yes.
the neighbors are.
Well, one in there would be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, people could pull in and pull out of there
Yeah.
without interfering with it.
That's a very good idea. Yes. Yep. So I would maybe one over here where they see it and one over there where they see it. That's the end of that one. So now if we go up to, I can take questions on that, or we can go up to 518, the one to the south. Oh, let me show you the interior. Here's a typical interior for both. There are the two front doors that we spoke of. Walk in either one, and this is a sales counter, usually with two cashiers, because usually we're busy enough to have two cashiers. So that's one cash register, that's a second, that's a lotter machine in the middle. Back sales counter with cigarettes and stuff, but only 4 feet high. We believe in a lots, when you walk into our stores, you won't find anything higher than 4 feet. It's been proven that female customers very much like that because they feel secure that there's no one lurking behind some 6-foot-high wall. We give up a little bit of sales space, but keeps everybody happy. Along this side is fountain soda bar with chillers and all the stuff, iced coffee, iced tea, etc. Storage room, 2 bathrooms, first one handicap accessible, the other one not, but as long as you have one, we have 2 bathrooms. Utility room and wet room here with the 3-bay sink and water meter and all the electric equipment. Walk-in cooler here, here's the door to it. So that's the walk-in cooler, and from there you can get into the walk-in freezer that's over here. So that makes this across the front all the glass. And you have to go into this back room to see it. So as you're standing here, all you'll see all along here will be either a solid wall or hopefully something to buy. Small manager's office here because they don't have a lot to do. Everything's computerized now. And then this is a hot coffee bar and bakery. In here is a refrigerated low case with ready-to-go cool items, sandwiches, parfaits, salads, fruit cups, everything that's literally ready to go. And then along the back is our hot ready-to-go bar with soup, hot dogs, and chili. In the center is your typical store items, the candy bars, the potato chips, a little bit of groceries, that type of stuff. Okay? All very compact. Both stores identical. The only difference is one is turned 90 degrees from the other. So here's now, if we go to the one to the south. That's what it looks like now. That's the existing sign. Here's a layout. It's a surveyor's plan, but let's get the landscaping one and I'll show you that one. Okay, here it is. So the difference here is there will be a retaining wall that starts about here and goes down because, again, we have another 12-foot drop-off. It'll go down here, and incidentally, it's only at the highest point of the wall, 8 feet high, so it runs in here. But the wall is 5 feet inside the property line, which gives us all that room from the wall, 4 feet from the wall to the property line, to put in upright arborvitae, to fill it so you won't see the wall. There'll be the same stone at the bottom, and a place for a neighbor to pile his snow between the trees and all that kind of stuff. Okay? The need for that, the reason for that is in this case, we're moving back from where we are now. This is the outline of the existing store, right in there. See where I'm boxing it off? Okay? Right in there. That's the existing store. So we are going back. We maintain the 25 feet that's required, both to the side and to the rear. And so as you walk out the back door, it will drop off, but you won't fall on your nose like you would now. So it's easily walkable, and it gives us a nice, yes, pitched, but not severe pitch, to put in more very nice trees, dogwood, Japanese maple, and dogwood and Japanese maple. And then masses in here, because we know that this road is the road to that shopping center. So in here will be some smaller rhododendron, and because it's protected up there, we can get some azalea in there. It's going to be quite nice. Coming down this side, since we happen to own this property also, this will all be filled in, and the pretty much everything that's died in there will be re-landscaped with some large rhododendron along the back to mass, a white fence, 6-foot-high fence, which the neighbors asked for, to come down this whole side here and all here to give them privacy. And again, we're 12 feet above them. And then this will all be filled in with more nice azaleas and rhodies, okay? We've already trimmed some of the trees. There's a beautiful specimen maple here that they said take out, and I said, I don't think you want me to do that, so we trimmed it instead. And it's gonna be a real pretty tree. It's
But the
gotta
fence
be
does not
3
come
feet
back
across.
out to the road
The
then?
fence does not come down to the road. Nobody wanted that.
Okay, good.
And a design review board didn't want it either, because now you're going to see this great big, pretty landscaped area. Okay?
New asphalt?
Oh, everything new.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything
For
new.
both sides?
Oh, absolutely. Everything new. It's
All
going
impervious. All impervious. Where's
Well-
where's the runoff from the parking lot?
Okay. This one goes to, let's find that one. Let me see. We've got a drainage one here for you. No? Well, let me show you where
It's
it
in there
is.
somewhere.
Somewhere, I can show you on this one. Right in here, so here we are again. Incidentally, there's the canopy. Okay? There's the new store, and in this case, the brick front faces the front. Parking, same with the pavers along the side. Bigger front area here, and again here also, there is no, right now, the curbing stops right about here. We'll be bringing it out here to match up with the street line, so this line goes straight across and making a real definition of a real corner there. There's a catch base. Well, first let's take the clean water. Canopy and store,
Right.
come over to here,
Right.
another leaching catch basin, and then another infiltration trench from here all the way along the back to soak in. Okay? Then Mr. Shea wanted an overflow, so there'll be an overflow from here, high water overflow, down to this corner where there'll be a storm scepter. Okay? From the storm scepter, it goes into this catch basin, which the state has told us we can do. We're just waiting for them to sign off on the permits. Okay? Now, for stormwater, this whole half from here over here, well, that's all pavers too, so that's dead flat to soak in. So now we're talking from here over, split this down the middle because our high point on the canopy is the high point in the thing. All this water goes back underground. So we're coming from here down, around here, across here, negative pitch going into the property, back up here and around, and into this catch basin. From there, it comes across here into the storm scepter. Same on this side, goes to the catch basin over here, which then goes underground to this storm scepter. From there, goes out. The other one, in the north, is smaller, and it sheets drains to the street. I should say that, okay? Everybody wants that because that being an aquifer, if there happens to be a surface leak,
Yeah, they want it.
you'd rather have it go out the street because fortunately, in that case, the closest catch basin is 264 feet south of us. So you got a lot of room to contain this before before it hits any system. Okay?
And the sign while you're on this one, is that the dark line in the
That's
middle?
yes. Let me get this. I'm going to bring my own mouse pad next time. That's the sign right there. And again, new sidewalk all the way across, 5-foot concrete sidewalk, and pavers across the street, from the sidewalk to the curb.
In this case, is there a sidewalk down Hazel Meadow?
Yes, here there is. So there is a sidewalk that comes up here and terminates. We'll tie in with that, bring it to the end of ours, and then connect it so that this is really good because this neighborhood right now comes here and then they have to walk in the street. Here, because they'll be able to come from there, either go down the shopping center or across the road. And we're happy to do that on our nickel. We're moving a light pole here, from here, over into the tree belt because that's in the way, so that's happening too. We're doing everything properly. We didn't let any, you won't find anything here where we use anything else. It's all new. It's all done properly.
The same thing with the air pumps on this one?
Yes.
Or, and 2 of them again?
When you're doing a job this big, another air pump doesn't cost that much.
Get you a hand pump for your bike. So you
well,
can have it on there. I spent a lot of time on
You
it.
can
We-
only go from one part
we
to
like-
the other.
We like redundancy on everything. So if it breaks, we don't have to get down there in the next 10 minutes. There's another one to use.
The one's broken at the station.
Okay, other
So
questions?
we'll replace it.
There was this, we have a recommendation from Design Review Board on this as well. I did sit in, I think, Kevin, you were there also, some of us caught the end of that. Some discussion about siding and everything else, but I think the ultimate input was very good on, especially on the landscaping and the fence on the 518 property. All right?
So my only one question was, going back to those meters, is there a battery system on it if the power's out for a long period of time, or what monitors the tanks if the power's out?
Yeah, there's battery, everything, big battery. Yes.
I mean, we've been out of power for a while.
Yeah.
And I just,
The backup system won't run the pumps.
no, just the monitoring system.
Yeah, we don't like to lose power because there's so much, between the telecommunications and all the computers we have. When it's done, you're all welcome to come through, we'll have an open house or something, and you will be absolutely amazed at the amount of technical equipment that's in these places now. It's not your old gas station anymore. We have actually 5 full-time IT people and 4 electricians on staff to build and maintain these things. It's crazy.
Well, I just think Simsbury's had its share of tank leaks, and you want to make sure that it's, especially up there.
Yeah, so to that end, there was commentary in Howard's report about monitoring the removal of the existing tanks and testing before we start. Yeah.
That's simple. By law, we have to notify DEP 30 days in advance before we remove a tank or install a tank. They will be on site. We'll also invite the fire chief to be on site. And we will have our own environmental company, Environmental Compliance Services, a third-party outside firm that's up and down the East Coast, on site also with a portable sniffer to check if there's any contamination. If we find any dirty soil or any problem, it will come out. Our policy is not to leave it there and try and remediate it, but to take it out just like a surgeon would to remove any cancer. And that'll all be absolutely monitored.
Okay, great. All right, so this is not a public hearing, but you gentlemen here to speak about it. Just
curious to see what's going on. I was going to ask why the construction stopped. It seemed things were getting going and then they stopped.
well, yeah, I will comment on that. Is that they actually need a permit to do the construction, which requires disapproval. So, and I'll say it again, second time in the same meeting, but we always prefer permission versus. Anyway, but so to that end, there was a meeting on this topic a couple weeks ago at Design Review Board, which was positive, but that's not actionable by the developer. So. Which now Mr. Bolduc understands, I think. So
The dirt that's been moved on the southern site, that's all been tested. I mean, yeah.
Well, actually, nothing's come off the property yet.
No, understood. I'm just curious if there's any dirty soil there.
I've got full reports on that site. There is contamination, I can tell you, slight traces, but not enough to remediate. And groundwater is 28 feet down there. So it didn't even go near the groundwater.
all right, so I'd be looking for action.
I move we approve application 14-11 as presented.
Mr. Ryan, looking for a
Second.
second. All right, second by Mr. Peterson. I'll just what?
Fireman.
Go ahead.
Just some suggestions.
Yeah.
As represented by the applicant, on the 1340 Hot Meadow Aquifer area, triple wall protection as represented and as proposed by the applicant be required as part of this application as well. Secondly, the full cutoff lights under the canopies are important, not only for the neighbors where there are residential areas, but also for motorists in the other areas as well. So full cutoff lights under the canopies should be required. The third thing would be landscaping as shown by the applicant be installed as part of the application, part of the approval. The fourth thing is, there's a question right now with the DOT as to whether the pavers are going to be acceptable or not. So the commission should just know going in that the pavers may or may not be acceptable to DOT as part of this because it's a fuel station, whether they like it or not. I just want you to be clear about that. The fifth thing is that the drainage and utilities should be subject to the final review and subject to the final review of the town engineer. And sixth was mentioned earlier, the solid fence, the angled slats or louvers on the HVAC roof, I think are important as well. So those are just things that I would suggest including as part of the action.
So Mr. Ryan will amend his motion.
Agenda, or amend my motion to include the, how many items?
There's six.
Six items.
And if you like, I can do the same thing we did with Powder Forest last time.
I think we should. I think that's nice. Do a letter that incorporates this. That's helpful for everyone.
It gets published anyway. It'll quite nicely.
Right.
Now, in the motion for 1411, you're suggesting that we add the triple
1380, 1340.
Triple
liner. Is that acceptable?
It's 1412 is the one that we want, the triple liner.
Yeah, but he's asking us to add it to 1411.
No, just the one in the aquifer area, 1340.
1340.
That's the one.
I was.
By application, you go by address.
I'm doing it by application number 1411, and you said
1411 is not the one that gets the liner. 1412 is the one with the liner.
right in his list that he read.
He read it incorrectly.
He read it in.
I read the address, Dave.
I'm sorry,
It's application number 14-12, correct?
but the motion is for 1411. My motion was for 1411.
Oh, we're just doing one motion at a time?
Two
Yes.
applications, yeah.
Good job, Dave. Thank you for paying attention. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna do 1411 to begin with.
Now modify the.
Modified it, except not with the triple.
Right.
Okay,
Sharp. Very sharp.
and he'll do a letter to that effect.
Actually, I have one more question though. On the with the canopy now, it's actually, it's 12. It's high, and then we got 12 feet down below it because of the retaining wall behind it, right? Right. So it's more visible because right now the canopy lights are blocked by the building for whatever's behind there. I'm not even sure what's exactly behind there, if that's a backyard or the gym. But okay.
Slope down. Yeah.
All right. So is that a?
The people in the gym will not see our lights at all.
Okay, they won't be looking up into the canopy?
Based on the fact the canopy's set back from their view a lot, and you got the hill, and then there'll be all the dogwoods and the trees along the top. They're not gonna see that canopy at all.
No, you can see, Kevin, from that schematic right there that the width of the canopy is, there's two canopies before you even get to the downslope to the gym. So the angle of the lights would have to be pretty severe for that to.
And the fact that these are LED, dark sky approved lights, the gym is way down here, way off the chart.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the first house is on the right hand
The
side.
first house, there is a house in
Right
here.
in there.
Now, there are along here, we cut down the junk trees, but there are a nice stand of, there's a big white pine and a whole lot of nice, tall, thin maples in there. So they've got cover at the point where they want it, and the canopy's over here. But when you're out here in the street, you don't even know that you don't see those lights, because now the new canopy lights are recessed, and so you only see it down. You don't see the bubble of a light anymore, which is why they meet dark sky requirements.
The only thing I would say is, and I generally agree, but I do think that I'm sensitive to the residences on Hazel Meadow. So if, for example, we needed to put a couple of shields on the lights because of the underneath, that was going to be a possibility. And that's why I think that the full cutoffs are important, and the dark sky is important as well.
I'd be happy to do that.
All right, so we have a motion on application 1411 with the additional items that Hiram mentioned. Noted that it does not include the triple on this location application. We have a second for that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passed unanimously. And then I'll be looking for a motion on 1412.
I'll move 1412, be accepted.
Second.
Same mover and seconder. In this case, we will include all of the same provisions as well as the liner for this
Triple liner,
application,
yep.
triple liner. And it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. So these are approved, and you can go back to work on those projects. But let Hiram do his thing with the definitive letter of approval. And we do appreciate welcoming you to our town and look forward to those improvements.
Actually, I do have a question. Do we have code for refueling stations? Yeah, because actually, they call them refueling stations now. They're no longer gas stations.
They are actually, I don't think we call them that, because that's a really good point.
It's our designer did that. They are essentially gas stations.
Do you plug in your Tesla there?
Yeah, well, I was wondering if you were planning ahead that there would be electric power there at some
You
point.
may have to take out one of the air pumps, though. That's
Well,
going
yeah,
to be a
they-
problem.
The, that work, we looked into that. We're doing one somewhere else, highway location, where we are actually thinking about that very seriously. In a neighborhood location like this, people will plug in their garage. It doesn't fit all.
You have to have something, some entertainment while the people are parked there, because it does take a little bit longer.
Well, maybe something we need to address at future of the code, though, because that will become more popular.
Speaking of which, thank you very much, Mr. Bolick.
I have one more quick question for him. Was the southern site also a Pride at one time before?
It is now.
Oh, it is now.
Oh, it was Sitco.
3 years ago.
Yeah,
It was Sitka.
Sitco, remember?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was Cisco and it was all kinds of other.
Yeah,
Okay.
Come on in.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So the last item on our agenda is the discuss and possibly set public hearing date for revisions to the zoning regulation regarding accessory dwelling units. So Hiram sent around a draft of those. I'm sure we've all studied them intently, but we should probably schedule that. Our next meeting is 2 weeks,
Mr. Chairman, the date for that would be June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Because of notification requirements and other things that are pending, I know you're going to.
Why don't we go ahead and schedule that then if it's that far out?
Doesn't, that has to go to planning too, right?
Yes. That's one of the things I've got to do.
Okay. I would ask everybody to take a look at it just to be sure if you have anything. Because once we set the hearing, right, then we need to set the code, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a question about a subsequent owner then has to certify essentially that it conforms to the owner living there and so forth. Is that really a legal constraint?
Yeah, I think that once the owner, you can, when you grant a special permit, condition it on that date. I think if the owner changes, all you're asking them to do, not necessarily go through the whole process, but to simply come in and certify to staff that they still meet the regulation without having to go back through the process. And that's legitimate. Now, if we were to make somebody go through the whole process again, that's another matter, and I would hesitate to do that.
I think that's proved how many times we can get people come in here and say, geez, I didn't know I had to do that. And I think sometimes real estate agents market that as a benefit without.
Right. Without benefit of having it actually be approved.
The
Right.
special permit gets filed on land
Yeah,
record, so
yeah.
once they do their search for title search for the
Yeah,
property.
the attorneys are much better than the realtors on that topic.
Yeah.
All right, so let's schedule that, all right?
Very good.
And even though the clock is a minute past my deadline,
I move we adjourn.
all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
I'd just like to tell you too, that we did get a permission from the first selectman to, they're gonna ask for a training transfer of funds so we can read our zoning regulations in the next year. So it's a process, so we're hopeful that'll move forward. And we'll do refueling stations.
Oh, actually, I'm going to break my own rule and just give you advice that we did interpret the approval for the PAC
Yes.
liquor license to include flexible dates and flexible events. There is an event coming up called the Triathlon, Triathlon, and they have asked for permission to sell beer, let the town sell beer at the PAC.
Pack Inc. would sell the beer.
Pack Inc. would sell the beer,
Since
so
they're leasing a license.
it seemed consistent with the flexibility that we had granted before, so,
It's within the parameters that were set by that permit.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We just put a slew of those electric charging stations in here.
Did you?
Yeah, they got credit card slots.
Yeah.
Go and park the
But
car.
they have them in the